Hi, I'm Bill the Geek, broadcasting not live from Mazatlan, Mexico. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel, and we make videos about the joys of living in Mexico. This video is all about making romantic connections as an American or a Canadian in Mexico. A male subscriber in the United States contacted me about 3 weeks ago and he said, Bill, I'm moving to Mexico. Can I meet American and Canadian women in Mexico? Can you tell me how that works? And I said, sure, let me put something together for you. I have had many, like around 40 or more relationships since I've been down here in Mexico. And the way that I met all of these women were totally different, and I'm going to share with you all of those methodologies. Believe it or not, there are a lot of single Americans and Canadians down here. I know a lot of couples, but I'm going to say half the people that I know are single men or women. So yeah, I'm a male and I'm straight, but everything that I'm about to tell you now will work if you're a male or a female. I'm going to come right out top and say, hey, you know, I thought that the way to meet women down here would be to go to bars, dance with women, you know, have drinks together, all that kind of thing. That was totally not true. That's the last thing you want to do to meet a significant other in Mexico. So this is the start of a 2 or 3 part series, and I'm going to tell you in this video about 4 relationships that I created in Mexico, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one will be what I would say would be the top of the 4, and that one will be called the one that got away. All of the names have been changed in these stories to protect the innocent. I'm going to start out with the strangest relationship that I had, and this was in Puerto Vallarta. I lived in a place called Cinco de Diciembre, which is like a low middle class neighborhood, all Mexicans, great locations. You could walk to all kinds of places. That's why I like a pedestrian community. You walk everywhere. My landlord and his partner, we knew everybody on the street. We knew all the married couples, their kids, we knew the single people by name. It was a total community. Living about half a block away from me down the street was Rosalina. And she was about 75 years old. I was 45. Rosalina lived with her 3 children in a 3-story house, and on the top floor they had roosters. And I would stop and talk to Rosalina all the time. I'd sit on her porch. She spoke only Spanish, and we got to be friends. Now, I'm going to tell you about Rosalina because Rosalina met all the other women in this video series, and it wasn't pretty. Now, I just thought of Rosalina as a friend. I mean, she's like 30 years older than me. I thought of her like a great aunt or a grandmother or something like that. And she started inviting me over for lunches and asking me to go places with her. She just loved being with me. And, you know, I'd had to start putting a limit on the time I could spend with her at lunch. Okay, Rosalina, I'd go and stay for an hour. And I'd go over there and she'd sit me down in her kitchen and she would make great foods for me. We would eat together and then I would leave. So her being a friend of mine, I asked her if she wanted to go to Walmart with me one day. She said, yeah, I'll go. So we get in the car, we go to Walmart. We get out of the car, we're walking towards Walmart, and then all of a sudden she grabs my hand. You know, like the couple's hand, and we're walking towards Walmart, and in my head I'm thinking, what's going on here? So I took my hand away, went to Walmart, went back, nothing was said. Okay, I was okay with that. Then I asked her, hey, Rosalina, you want to go to the beach with me one day? We'll get some tacos on the beach, come back. She said, yeah. So we're in the car going down the beach road, and I have shorts on, she has shorts on. And the next thing I know, is I feel this hand on my inner thigh holding like a clamp. So I'm thinking, well, this is not a friendly thing here. I don't know any friends to grab your inner thigh. And I'm with this lady, she's like 30 years older than me. I got to know her entire family very well. Her daughter was a doctor with her husband. They had 3 children. All of her children were in college. And her daughter, her name was Alma, she used to say, "You don't understand, you don't understand." And this is all in Spanish. And I said, "Alma, my Spanish is good. I understand pretty much everything that's going on." She'd say, no, you don't understand." Now, I lived on the 2nd floor, down the street a half a block, and from my apartment, I could look across the street and see Rosalina's front porch. Rosalina used to come out, sit on her stoop, and she would stare at my window all day long, every day. Rosalina was obsessed. It was like a horror movie. I had no clue. And this can happen to you. You can be a male or a female, and all of a sudden you're in a relationship that you're in somebody's fantasy world. So you have to be careful and watch, because this woman was deeply in love with me, and I just considered her to be like my grandma. So be careful. So way number 1 to meet a man or a woman in Mexico is to live in a place where there's pedestrian people and you can actually stop and talk to people. That's a key way to meet new people in Mexico. Living right across the street from Rosalinda was a school teacher. I'm going to call her Linda. She was Mexican also, but she was bilingual. She had 2 adult kids, and she had raised her kids in Switzerland, and she was a school teacher, and she was really hot. She would dress up really nice for me. We would go places. She didn't cook or anything, but you know, we got to know each other very well, and I somewhat enjoyed her company, but sometimes we would have to go out to the beach with her sons and their families every Sunday, and that got kind of old. It took me a while to realize that when I went over to her apartment, I didn't see any books in her apartment. I didn't see a computer in her apartment. And I read a lot, I use the computer a lot, and this was another, she was walking out in front of her house with her big giant dog. I stopped her and I said, "Hey, let's get together and do something sometime." Ended up that Linda, the teacher, she was a kleptomaniac. She would come over to my apartment and things would come up missing, like money and stuff like that. I told her sons, I said, "Hey, I think your mom grabbed 7,000 pesos, that's like $350, out of my apartment." And one of the sons says, "Oh no, never show her money. Never leave money in front of her." Also, the lady had anger management problems. So after her kleptoing some cash, taking a couple of things out of my apartment, having a couple of tantrums, it was time for that to end. So I met Rosalinda and the teacher just by walking through the neighborhood. That's way number 1 to meet people. And let's go on to way number 2. I was in a book club, and a bunch of people, we'd get together like every Wednesday, and we would read books and share our ideas about what was going on in the books. And I got to be friends with this guy. His name was Steve, and he was married to this Mexican woman, and he wanted to hook me up with her sister. So I said, okay, now why not? I've had so many dates with women, and what I've learned is if you're going out for the first time, it's a blind date, you've never seen her before, what you want to do is set that date for 10 o'clock in the morning in a coffee shop. That way, you're in there in the morning, you can get a look, have a little chat, and worst scenario is you can walk in and just walk out, or if you stay there an hour, you're just out an hour and maybe $1 for a couple of cups of coffee. So I met the lady. She was attractive. You know, she was maybe 5 years younger than me. And then I had to put her through the interview. Yes, I interview the women that I meet. The interview goes like this. Where do you live? Who do you live with? How many children do you have? What kind of job do you have? Okay, so for question number 1, where do you live? Oh, I live with my mother. Nah. Question number 2, how many kids do you have? 3. Nah. Question number 3, what is your job? I don't have a job. Nah. Nape, 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 time to go. That one was over. I must say we were in and out of the coffee shop in 30 minutes, but that girl was totally in love with me. We got in the car, I dropped her off where she lived, and she gave me a big romantic kiss like we were gonna be together forever. Ha ha. Again, this is part 1 of the series, and I'm gonna do either two or three more of these videos. And I'm going to end each one with the one that got away. So now we're going to go to the woman that got away. I'm going to call this lady Lucy. She was a Canadian from Vancouver. And the way that I met her, well, let me tell you how I met Lucy. The way I met Lucy was, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on some weekday, and I'm on the Malecon, right on the beach in Puerto Vallarta, by myself, minding my own business. Lucy was hot. She came up to me, she stood right in front of me and she said, "Can I join you?" And I was shocked because she looked like she was like half my age and she wanted to sit down with me and have a conversation. I said, "Sure, have a seat." Ended up, she was a doctor, Canadian doctor. We had a great conversation. She was very knowledgeable, very sweet, and extremely good looking. So she said, "Hey, you like to hike?" I said, "Yeah, hiking's fun." I'd hiked before. It wasn't like a hobby or anything, but with her, I would have done anything she wanted me to do. And she says, "Well, why don't you meet me out at my apartment, and then we can go to this little waterfall." So we set a date and time. At the date and time, I get on a bus. I go out to her apartment, which was kind of out in the country. I don't even know how she found this place, but she had an apartment, which was this little house on a ranch out in the middle of nowhere. When I get there, she has her bikini on. She's ready to go, which was a little bit strange, but she's got her bikini. She said, "Okay, let's go." So we walk through the jungle. The walk was like 30 minutes long, and I'm walking behind her on this little path, looking at her in the bikini for 30 minutes. So we walk, and all of a sudden we're at this big mountain with this beautiful waterfall. And she helps me climb up the rocks to the top of the waterfall, and it's just beautiful up there. And we could slide down the rocks into this giant little river of water, and it was a great time. We took that walk many, many times, and I really can't go into the specifics of what else we did other than swim and slide down the rocks, because, you know, YouTube has its stuff that you can't talk about or say. So, but I must say that it was a very enjoyable time with a beautiful young lady. And at the time I was 45 about that, and she was 33, so she was 12 years younger than me. And I was good with that. It was time for Lucy to go back to Canada, so she came over to my place, which was right near El Centro in Puerto Vallarta. We had a great time. She left the next morning. She gave me a wonderful kiss as she took the taxi away, and I never saw Lucy again. The challenge with a place like Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, is you have these people that are coming down there. They're only going to be there for 2 weeks. Maybe they're going to be there for 6 months, and then they're going somewhere, and it can be very far away. Lucy and I contacted each other via email, but that long distance stuff kind of fades out after a while. And then I didn't hear from her like forever until this week. I was going through my email list and by accident I saw her email address. I emailed her and we emailed each other back and forth, but I don't think we'll ever see each other ever again. So those are 4 experiences that I had in Puerto Vallarta. I've got many more to share with you. And all of those people I met not in a bar, but just being outside of the apartment in the daytime, not late at night, not at 3 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can meet lots of people. And I have other techniques that are real winners. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be talking about warning signs that just go name, 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 name. So you can just turn off those green lights you have in your mind. And places to go where you can surely meet intelligent people with jobs and income, stuff like that. So again, I'm Bill the Geek. This is the Bill Dallas Lewis channel. We have many more videos to come. So please click that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.